Mama V is here. Mama V.
Hello.
I love you.
How are you? Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Is it a color?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
It's one of the colors of Salifu Combat. You know Salifu Combat? Salifu
Oh,
is in
Roland
He's the head
Walker.
of primary healthcare pharmacy, the Boku Presbyterian Hospital. Good morning to you, sir. I hope you're having some great time. And also, all my loved ones at Jibodi store, Keta.
Shall we do the newspapers now?
Yeah, I wanted to add Elo Mashako. He teaches at the Vakbo secondary school. Good morning to you, Elo.
So you're good now?
There's one more, the Cape Coast.
Well, good morning to all of you watching the show now. We thank you for staying with us. It's the AM show right here on Joy News. If you missed the news, we're on to the newspapers now. We've got several of the newspapers. I'll do the Daily Graphic, the Ghanaian Times, and the Finder newspaper, Roland.
And I'll do
the Daily Guide, the Daily Statesman. We've got the Daily Dispatch as well. Straight away.
You're a good woman.
Let's start, thank you. Let's start with the Daily Graphic newspaper. It's like a tradition for me. So on the front page, VAT automation second quarter, measure to reduce stress in payment, shore up revenue. So this is a more, more advanced way to de-stress, and then they say also to get a lot more taxes. So the collection of value added tax will be automated by the second quarter of this year, according to the Ghana Revenue Authority. The measure will involve linking the teller systems, including point of sale devices of VAT eligible companies and supermarkets, to ensure that the tax is credited directly to the GRA at the point of purchase. And they say this will ensure convenience in the payment and filing of VAT returns, and also broaden the tax nets and enhance compliance with the ultimate goal of increasing revenue collection for the state. So this is going to happen second quarter of this year. Also, President picks nomination forms. Yesterday, the question of whether or not other people would also pick nomination forms came up. Well, it's open to anybody who is eligible. So the president has picked. Who else will pick? I guess that's where the news will be.
Yesterday.
President picking is not new.
Yesterday, I heard the General Secretary of the party, John Boydu, telling Kwesi Parker Wilson that the MPP has a tradition of not contesting sitting presidents. That was very instrumental. And you know, when they say that, Charlie no go.
But he also added that
if you try,
if it's only the president, they would still go to Congress. And it's still not a done deal.
John Dramani Mahama.
Yes, I remember that. Wow. So we wait to see who would go close to that, and we will report. As I said, that is what will be the news. Okay. Also back onto the front page of the Daily Graphic newspaper. Pensioners given up to Friday to complete biometric registration. Friday is January 31. And if you're a pensioner, well, SNIT says you have to register biometrically. Yeah. Otherwise, those who don't, their names will be deleted from their system. But hold on, if you can't go to their nearest office, according to the story, they say you can call their office and they'll dispatch people to your home or wherever to do the registration. Except that as I was reading the story, I couldn't find a phone number. I would have shared it with you if you haven't done that yet. So,
but you can still Google SNIT numbers and get all these clarified for you.
Yeah, but
because the SNIT offices are closer to you than you think.
Okay, but there's some elderly people who can't Google if they don't already have the number. But I guess because they still have a way of taking their pensions every month, there will be a way to connect to the SNIT office. If you haven't done that biometric registration, kindly do so before they delete your name, and then you go through a longer process just to get your money. And then Sami Jemfi out of police custody. This story also on page 23, the Daily Graphic newspaper. That's the communications officer of the National Democratic Congress. He was granted police inquiry bail 4 hours after his arrest by the Criminal Investigation Department of the Ghana Police Service. He was not charged but cautioned on the offenses of possession of forged documents and publication of false news with the intent to cause fear and alarm, contrary to sections 166 and 208 of the Criminal Offences Act 1960. He was, however, granted bail with 2 sureties, and he is to report himself at the CID headquarters once every week to assist in investigations. What we would clarify also is the fact that his personal gadgets in terms of like mobile phones were seized. Police not talking on that yet, except to say that they're investigating. We've got a member of parliament from the NDC side in the studio this morning. We will cross-check that with him. In the center spread of the paper, though, resist corruption ahead of 2020 elections. That's the Executive Secretary of the Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition, Mrs. Beauty Emefa Nate, urging Ghanaians to stand up against corrupt practices in this year's election. 7 envoys present credentials, also in the center spread of the paper. On the back page, though, Minister directs Shanzi Mine to complete safety requirements, and stakeholders deliberate on effective street light management. The 2 stories on the back page of the Daily Graphic newspaper. The Ghanaian Times front page, GSPTA Tango Chimota Preparatory School. We brought you an extensive report in our news. Let's commit to after agreement for benefit of continents. That's a call by the president, and this on the front page of the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Also, Sami Jemfi arrested, released on bail. That's a headline in the Times. 19 teachers granted bail for offensive conduct. Now, that's a story of interest. It's on page 3 in the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Hopefully, you get to see what's on the front page of the paper. But this story that has to do with the teachers says 19 newly trained teachers who are arrested and charged with unlawful assembly and offensive conduct on January 13 have been granted self-recognizance bail by the Ajabin Magistrate Court yesterday. The teachers were arrested at the forecourt of the Ghana Education Service when they went to seek information of their postings. The case had been referred, not clear in the writing, referred to the Alternative Dispute Resolution, and the accused would appear before the ADR today to commence the resolution. That's how the front page of the Times looks like this morning. On the back page, those small-scale farmers advised to sell their produce to GSX. GRCL begins free rail service for commuters from Takoradi to Takwa. All right, so these are the 2 stories on the back page of the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Let's do the Finder. That's the last paper for me, the Finder. Front page, Zipline delivers 20,000 items, 833 patients in emergency situations saved. Chief Imam spokesman backs EC on new voters register. GRA ignores lawsuit, allows Unipass to install equipment, and no mass protection of certain MPs in Ashanti. That's the General Secretary of the party making this known. But we know that there are some persons who say they've been having difficulty picking up forms to contest the upcoming primaries. So, you know, are they just being frustrated, or some MPs are being protected? But that's the General Secretary of the party saying no. But what's happening on the ground doesn't seem to correspond. If you listen to the challenges that some people are having in laying their hands on those forms so they can fill.
I think there's a particular situation of the member of
Swame.
For Swame. The Swame constituency in which there's a gentleman, is it John Daphne or something
yes.
like that, who says that he can't get access, but we've also had some replies from the party executives as to why they can't, the processes leading up to the forms being available are delayed, that they are just part of satisfying the constitution and its rudiments.
But that's the problem. If I am picking the form and it's not available and you can't give me answers, and I have to go, I have to go to the media before you would respond, and then we have a problem. Yeah, because I know that they're not dealing with the national executives. They're dealing with their constituent executives, and then they can go to the region if they have challenges. And if they're not getting answers, and that's what it appeared it was yesterday, you know, only to hear them explain themselves on radio. And I thought, I mean, if I'm your party person and I want to contest, and the forms are not available, and you can't explain to me, but you can come on radio to come and do that, then we have a big problem.
Yeah,
you know.
And I think that this also fall in line with the overall position that had been expressed not only by Kojo but all of us when we had that discussion early on last week or midweek last week, and it's in line with how parties perhaps can better manage some of these difficulties that they seem to think. Because we should know that in each parliament we've had some of the best brains, either maybe have had some experience under their belt, long standing in parliament, also have contributed significantly to parliamentary work over the period, or even first timers. And the party would want to, in a way, have them back representing not only the party but their constituents, but also doing good work in parliament.
Yeah.
And I am of the opinion, just like you and Kojo, that the party needs to do its homework well, other than resorting to some of these so-called machinations, because then you're giving grounds for those who tend to follow those individuals to create a certain opinion that it looks like the party machinery seem to be backing certain individuals.
Yeah.
Two, it doesn't even make the process democratic in the sense, because we have a nomination period opening from the 20th of January, and today is what date? We have 28th, and a gentleman custodians don't get access.
Yeah.
We do know the difficulty that Oseche Mensah, the Minister of Parliamentary Affairs, and the majority leader finds himself, especially in relation to those gentlemen, I'm told, who has contested him in the last 2 or 3 primaries. And that's a bit difficult thing that I guess the party needs to manage well, because this is not going to be the first one.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not enough. Yesterday I had the secretary of the party in Ashanti, Sampain, saying that, oh, you can even use a day. It's not for you to say that I can use a day to fill the form.
Because you need to.
You open it within a certain period. I mean, if you wanted to open it for a day, you would have. But if it's open from a certain period to a certain period, if I want to take 10 days or 5 days to fill it, that's my business. But it's not for you to say, oh, you can even use a day too. So if you don't get it today and you get it tomorrow, you can use a day too.
And you know, it's not only in relation to this. In the past, when we've had some of these difficulties, sometimes the forms will be given to you late. And if it's a national one, you need certain signatories. You would struggle to get those signatories. Now, these signatories, I'm sure for the constituency, would be within the constituency, but you can't get access to them. They'll be here, the chairman, or somebody you think should be backing you, you know. And I do understand how they want to protect certain people, but they have to make it transparent as possible. And make sure they do their homework well. I think it will bode well for everybody. Because we've seen precedents in which certain individuals
have got independent.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's not been good for them, even though this is.
But the party says there's no mass protection of certain MPs.
Yeah, sure. That's the formal position. And we had Evans Nimakum, who came here yesterday. He is the director of elections for the MPP. He's categorically stated the position of the party. But we know what is formal, official, and what is not. Yes.
Well, what appears to be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So just take off all the inhibitions. Let people have access. If it's free for all, you know. Yeah.
And I did some homework to ask a few friends in the Swami constituency, and apparently the gentleman who
John Darko,
apparently is popular.
Oh, he is.
Yes,
he's a private legal practitioner and a law lecturer as well.
So it looks like the majority leader, if the gentleman gets to pick the nomination form, is going to have a hard time. All the best to him.
Well, that's what democracy is, isn't it?
Sharp.
And particularly if you're in parliament, you should know the definition of democracy in practice. Yeah. All right, let's do the other papers. Right.
So let's go to the Daily Guide. It has on the front page, Ofosuampofo trial begins tomorrow. That's on Wednesday. It's on the front page of the Daily Guide. Also on the front page of the Daily Guide, we have NDC plots against EC on farm. Meanwhile, on the side, Minsha is mourning because we have the burial activity starting for Nana Akwesi Agyeman, Nana Mons Akwesi Agyeman too, the late Berima Akwesi Agyeman. We also do have new plant closure sparks debates, police arrest Sami Jemfi for cybercrime. On the back page, we have PGA thanks all, and PGA is the Professional Golfers Association, the Ghana chapter, or PGA of Ghana. Global Soccer, Mon Brian. We had the story saying that key or top football icons across the world, they mourn Kobe Bryant. Tragic story, still being mourned across the world, and for even non-basketball fans also, again, taking and empathizing with the situation, not only sympathizing. Kotoko fans spray cash on Wonder Kid. Each player pockets 2,000 Ghana cedis. We're told that the gentleman in the picture, if we can take the crawler off, is a 16-year-old. Yeah, 16-year-old. I can imagine. So he would have been in SS1, that's in secondary school. That's going by our normal age of going to school in Ghana. 16-year-old. He was being sprayed. I think that next time, if they want to give him money, they should ask of his Momo account, mobile money account, so that they just drop it in instead of giving this like he's begging for alms. Doesn't look good. But he played well, so the fans are showing their love, as we call it in local parlance. The Daily Statesman has on the front page, save new plan from collapse, group pleads with government. We also do have up for 4 more, and the president, in an interaction yesterday, was with an envoy of the Togolese government, was very emphatic that he's going for another term. John Boydu says only President Akufo-Addo has voiced an interest in running for the MPP ticket. Who will try or dare to contest the president? If you like, try it.
Wow.
Bring back the cars you bought at Yokegari prices. Occupy Ghana chases Mahama appointees for vehicles. And this is what they do when they are about leaving office. You know, they do all these things about Article 71 office holders. And they tend to devalue vehicles, sometimes even just a year old. And they don't find anything wrong with it. It's a new government that will find something wrong with it. And I'm sure that if this government one day is also leaving, or a party in power is leaving government, we hear the same things.
So is it they or those who value the vehicles?
Well,
because it's not like if you're using the vehicle, you, Roland Walker, will value it and say I'm paying
but the thing
50 pesos for it.
You belong to an outgoing government, so the valuation is done so-called
by.
Well, civil servants do that, but ultimately, I'm not sure that they do it in isolation. That's the whole point. So you have all these nice 4-wheel drives, 2016, 20.
I think we should go to the core of the issue and not just scratch the surface.
Yeah, I do know.
We should hold people accountable.
Yeah.
Did they value it right or not?
Yes.
If they did, you get what I mean?
The thing is that the state has created opportunity for everybody within the public space, ideally, to be able to get access to valued cars. And so they're supposed to be at an auctionable price. But whether it's the right people who tend to get access to those cars valued at auctionable prices is another thing for debate.
Are you done with the papers?
Yeah, so I'm left with the Daily Dispatch newspaper. It has on the front page, former deputy government statesman on Unibank to a special investigations team. Governance statement. So,
that's Mr. Siama, right?
Ratings of Kotoko, Hassan Kotoko players, and we have other stories also occupying the front page. Okay. I'm done.
All right, let's do myjoyonline.com. But as we prepare, just wanted to give you a bit of updates in terms of the coronavirus. We know now that over 100 people have died from this disease, doubling to more than 1,500 cases. So a lot more cases also, discovered. This morning, Germany has become the latest country abroad to confirm a case. They've also confirmed a case in China itself. Tighter restrictions have been imposed to try and bring the situation under control. Head of Disease Surveillance in Ghana, Franklin Esiedu-Bequin, says the health service is confident about the measures in place and will pay more attention now to health facilities. So in our news, we saw Fred Smith trying to find out in terms of what the checks on the ground, how it looks like when you arrive at the airport. We will talk about that extensively. But the reason I'm giving this update is just so to remind all of us what we have to do, even though we haven't had any suspected case in Ghana yet. So regular washing of hands with soap and water, use of alcohol hand rub where available. Keep a distance of at least 1 step. That's 1 meter from a person showing signs of fever, cough, and difficulty in breathing. When contact with a sick person or with potentially infected surfaces or objects occurs, please avoid touching your eyes, nose, or mouth with unwashed hands. Also, it is advisable to be physically active, drink plenty of water, eat well, reduce stress, and have enough sleep. People should seek treatment immediately if infection is suspected, if symptoms occur, or when advised by a health worker, and then also report any symptoms to the nearest health facility. Remember to wash your hands under running water. I guess we're ready to do myjoyonline.com now. Here we go. EC and protesters must soften stance on new voters register. That's the General Secretary of the Bible Society of Ghana adding his voice to this. NDC demands compensation for victims of Ayawaso West Wagon by-election violence. Deputy Speaker gives 7th Parliament 80% rating, and he spoke exclusively to Evans Mensah on PM Express. There will be a repeat after the AM show this morning. Coronavirus, Health Minister assures Ghana is prepared to fight deadly infection. Boxer Patrick Alote captured in video beating up a spectator during Hearts Kotoko clash. For real? Benedict will join us with, well, this is not supposed to be funny, but is boxing not a profession?
He's a Hearts fan. He beat
Okay, let's do the rest of the stories. We'll get a bit of clarification. Occupy Ghana demands return of government vehicles illegally sold to political appointees. Well, Roland was talking about that a while ago. That story is in one of the newspapers this morning, also on our page. Shatta Wale releases song in honor of Kobe Bryant and daughter.
I love Shatta Wale.
Have you listened to it?
No, I was trying to go to his YouTube page, YouTube channel yesterday.
Trying to stay.
It was on the sites.
Updated, I guess. Okay, let's see how far that piece of music would go. Did he ever meet Kobe? Did he ever meet Kobe, or he's a basketball fan or something like that?
Didn't meet him. I don't know why they are not trolling him, because you know when the said till we meet again, rest in peace, Kobe.
Well, till we meet again kind of sounded we've met, and we will meet again.
So that's why he was.
But this is a song. This is like a tribute, paying tribute in his own way, because he's a musician. He's a singer and composer and arranger. That's not like till we meet you again. All right, let's finish off. Ghanaian students in China demand evacuation. It's not just Ghanaians locked up, particularly if you're in Wuhan. It goes beyond your government, because they've locked down the city, right?
Yeah,
nobody's going.
It's under lockdown, so I don't know how they will
how your government can help you in this. But you know, we're done. That's myjoyonline.com. You can log on. NDC demands compensation for victims of Ayawaso West Wagon by-election. Well, I touched on that. We've got more stories on the page. Remember Alex Mould? Former boss at the GMPC, he lost his daughter, you know, in a very tragic way in Mauritius. Well, she'll be buried later on January 30. I see that it's in some of the newspaper stories, also on myjoyonline.com.